Editing Brian, were you looking for this? The second best line. Sure, if I had an engine or balls, but I have neither, so no. Like, I think at my fourth screening, it was me and two other guys giggling for a full minute because that is such a great line. And I'll never stop loving it. And I didn't have a clever introduction for this episode because I was thinking about everything else. I'm here with Brad Milan to review Supergirl with a budget of $170 to $186 million, released on June 26th. The international markets received the film on June 24th, so we're getting a little bit of that staggered release date again. International versus national, or domestic. That sounded weird. So far, as of Tuesday after its release, it has gotten $65,511,882 million at the box office, directed by Craig Gillespie, who directed Lars and the Real Girl, which we previously talked about, written by Anna Nagira, who's writing the current Wonder Woman script, and starring Millie Alcock from Game of Thrones, or whatever that clever thing that you called it last time, Brad, that I've already forgotten. Oh, I remembered a kind of thing I was kicking around. I've now seen this movie twice as much as I saw Superman in theaters. Totally by accident, kind of. What y'all think of the Supergirl?
I went into this not knowing anything about it. I didn't really see any trailers or watch any trailers for it. I don't really know any of the comic book backstory to this. The only thing I really knew about this movie going forward is Millie Alcock, and that's from House of the Dragon. She was excellent in House of the Dragon. So as soon as I saw that she was playing this character, I was like, oh, cool. Hot D. House of the Dragon, Hot D. So just in case. Put that together. Yep. So I mean, I went in kind of pretty blind, and I mean, it is what it is from there.
That sounds ominous, and I look like I'm glitching now on Meld somehow. Okay, Milan.
So I mean, I guess in a pretty similar fashion, like I went in fairly blind. The only trailer I'd seen was what they'd given, kind of whatever they'd given at the end of like Superman and such and whatnot. But I am a little bit better acquainted, I guess, probably with the comic books and things like that. So, all in all, it was enjoyable and things like that. I think there were a couple of areas of, I'm not going to say disappointment, more so just like, oh man, I kind of hope that they went more the comic book route rather than the TV film route. And I think they went more so maybe that. But all in all, yeah, good film.
You said you wish they went more of the comic book route, or you wish they went more of the TV route? It kind of cut out for me.
I wish they had gone more maybe the comic book route without getting into spoilers. I don't want to say more than that.
Yeah, I pick up a couple things you're putting down. I'm gonna stop recording. I'll be able to close it and open it up because it is like glitching more than any other. Okay, that's
picking up what you're putting down.
No, because I did read the comic book back when it was announced, when it was on sale around the Superman release time. Beautiful comic, great. And then I had so much time that I could forget about it. And then after I watched it for that whole day of Supergirl, I went back and I was like, oh, okay. Yep, I'm remembering some stuff. There were some changes that I actually liked. Well, one, I'm sure we'll get into it. But there are others that I was like, in the middle, I'm like, okay, I get why you had to exclude that. But then this other part, that seems like a mistake. But all in all, this felt very fun. There's some stuff that I'm like, that editing was weird. You should not do that and fix it. Okay, it's glitching all over. That was weird editing. You should fix that before you release it. But otherwise, pretty fun, pretty good. Like, they were going for a Guardians of the Galaxy vibe. I think it not being James Gunn succeeded as much as a non-James Gunn could, especially a director I don't think who's ever done a big budget film like this. Like, if Craig Gillespie came back for Supergirl 2 and it was exactly the same problems, then I'd be like, how did we do this? What are we doing, boys? But if he came back, I would expect the second version to be much more polished and more like, okay, I know what I'm dealing with at this level. I've learned from my mistakes. Round 2. But yeah, other than that, I liked, I'm just thinking about another change that I liked that is in all the trailers. So I don't know if I should avoid spoiling it, but I guess it would technically ruin the comic. I don't know. I'm in the middle about whether it'd be a spoiler or not. I think once Man of Tomorrow comes out next year, which is the Superman, Supergirl, Lex next installment, that apparently will have some lanterns in it too, that this will be a nice middle in the trilogy of a super trilogy. Kind of like how Iron Man 2 is probably the worst of that trilogy, but I would actually give this one a little more compliments because that one can bore me, I guess. I don't know. And you said we had some Bradley Cooper's trivia? All right, Bradley Cooper's much sexier than the real thing.
Yeah, I got a couple things here. This is Supergirl's first solo appearance since Supergirl 1984.
40 years, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, 42 years, something like that. Math eludes me, so.
Not in this moment, sir.
Well, that's because you were flashing me the symbols, so.
No, you said it before. Okay. Fair. I was actually doing this because I realized my mistake when he said the year. I was like, I'm going to put it on credit that I figured out my math problem before you said it.
So this movie was originally supposed to start taking place in 2018. It got paused in 2020 due to COVID. And then luckily they did because 2022, Millie did House of the Dragon and really jumped onto James Gunn's radar and then became Supergirl. So if this would have taken place on the timeline that it was supposed to, she wouldn't have been Supergirl.
Gotcha. So when you say 2018, it's kind of like the Flash movie where they're developing the Flash and also developing a spinoff for that Supergirl in that film. Because we hadn't gotten a reboot yet of the whole universe. So
yeah, because the Supergirl movie was first announced in August of 2018 with a script by Oren Urzul, and then production was scheduled for early of 2020, but then had to be put on hold due to COVID-19.
Gotcha. Yeah. I believe that was the one connected to the Flash movie, which I still haven't seen until a day I really want to hate watch something. But I heard that Supergirl was the best part of that movie. And she showed up for like 5 minutes. They were going to do a spinoff from that. And then, the whole reboot of the universe and yada yada. Also, I guess in terms of films that could have been with other actors, Dwayne Johnson for a very small period of time was talking about doing Lobo. Which I was there for only because it seemed so out there. I thought he might actually take a swing, but then he went Black Adam and did not swing at all.
Didn't we review that movie on this channel? I feel like we did.
Probably, yeah. The movie that brought us live action Moana and his return to the Fast and Furious franchise, even though we've heard nothing about Hobbs and Dante since Fast X, because I think that was the first blockbuster that truly bombed for him in a long time. And I swear within weeks of it releasing, live action Moana was announced and he showed up in a post-credit scene for Fast X, which he said he would never do again. So got to get those safe box office wins. Anywho. All right. So we're restructuring a little bit as anyone who's.
I got one more cool one.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, one more cool one. According to Millie, right, her cape that the material used for her cape was an original Superman cape that they took about 16 meters of material from. So now she's got a piece of the original Superman cape.
You like the fabric that they used to make the Christopher Reeve capes, they cut out a bit and made her cape?
Yep, according to Millie.
Cool. I mean, yeah, I believe her. I'm just looking at the orange background that neither one of you fine people can see, and I'm like pixel peeping the textures. I was like, that doesn't look so much like a sneaker. Not that these ones do, but I know a lot of people said the Cavill one looked like a sneaker texture or whatever all over. That's cool. All right, nice. I'm going to look more into that later just to hear the full story of it. But yeah, as anyone who's seen other reviews or listened to other reviews, doing a little more structure work and having the first thoughts here so we can get into the reviews a little later instead of jumping straight into the 420 review. Speaking of a 420 review, what is that? That's a review using the history's dopest poem, just legally speaking, because you go 4 words at a time until you get to that dope 20. Brad, do you want to start us off on this super train of reviews?
Sure. So my 420 review, it's Hope versus Revenge. Supergirl meets super drinking. Better character seeks revenge. What? Alien butt candy. Crypto is cutest MacGuffin.
Nice. Milan?
For dog to war. Moral of the story. She'll kick your butt at just being good. A woman, not girl.
Nice. And this is my 6th review because I think I've mentioned it before, but yeah, Saturday I did 5 in a day, and then today I literally just biked back from seeing it with my kid and my partner. This first word is a double contraction again. Y'all have been super unhelpful. 2 girls from Metropolis, 1 killer, maybe 2. Fun middle between Superman and Man of Tomorrow. I did misspell it for the rhyme. And next, right before the spoiler part, is the dope meter rating, which Brad was talking about needing to memorize beforehand. And I said, nay, because then it would close the easy opening for this exposition of the dope rating is an S to F scale with a wild card going from ayahuasca, mushroom, edible, joint, skunky, and that wild card is Molly, which is when it's just so fun, but it's not great. But it's fun. But is it a good movie? No. Milan, what was your dope rating?
Oh, why'd you have to start with me?
I thought, should we do the same order? And then I was like, no, let's switch it up. But we can do the other order if you want. Brad, want to fly in and save the moment for Milan?
I mean, I can. I've got a skunky joint. I think this movie is not as bad as reviews and critics are saying this movie is. It is just not that bad. There are some editing things I think are really weird, including switching the first scene and the second scene. I think would have made a lot more sense in this movie. It feels like this movie was made to keep people attentions during streaming and not during the film or during the matric box. What's the word I'm looking for?
Theatrical box office.
Theatrical box office release. It's made this. I feel like this movie's made for more streaming, more clipping, more short form viewing versus somebody that's bought a ticket and sitting in the theater to watch this movie. So I think there's some weird editing choices, and I think James Gunn, I wish would have had his hands in this just a little bit more, and I think it would have came out a little bit better. But I think he's pretty far hands removed off this one because I think he's working on
Man of Tomorrow.
Movie. Yeah, I think he's working on that one already. So I think if he would have just kind of popped in with the editing here and there, I think there's a good movie that they probably have filmed, but I just don't like the editing choices in this movie, which really hurts it for me.
Yeah, he's about 45 days into shooting that movie already, and he heavily praised the script. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a middle ground where he could have really, I've got a list of some stuff I would improve. If he would have encouraged more rehearsal, I don't think we'd have so much editing. Weirdly, I think this movie needs to pull a little bit of from Disclosure Day in the cinematography and bigger choreography instead of a bunch of close-ups and cutting between those. And then Disclosure Day needs to take some notes from the script, the story from this, and improve that side of thing. But
because this is at a really fast, concussion-based pace, and that was an intentional choice for them to be bam, 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 bam for this movie instead of letting this hitting you with something, letting it breathe, hitting and letting it breathe, and kind of going that route. This movie just felt like everything was it has to happen now instead of let's tack on an extra 15 minutes throughout this movie to let it feel the stakes instead of just okay, well, we just had a problem. Here's the answer to the problem 2 minutes later.
And it's clear that there probably were another 15 minutes, and this is why I say that if he doesn't do it, if he comes back and doesn't do a better job in the second one, what are we doing? But my theory is we got a longer film with a slightly stronger script, but Craig Gillespie wasn't as experienced with the bigger budget filmmaking, and he didn't make it feel as big. If you even watch the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, you're going to see more interesting shot composition and stuff. I look like I'm glitching so much. Shot composition and more interesting camera moves and that geography in any one shot in that 40-minute short film than any one shot in this film. But I think it was the ingredients were there. They were cooked by me and not the chef who knows everything that he's doing. And actually someone more experienced than me, someone in the middle, because I can do Velveeta. I can fuck up what's the word I'm looking? I can make shells and cheese that fucks, but you can't actually have me cook the thing. I don't want to insult the team too much. But yeah, Milan, what's your rating?
I think I'm going to go with a joint. There were definitely some things that I think could have been done much better. I agree with the editing. That was one of the things that, like, throughout the film, there are parts I was like, did they really have to do it that way? But all in all, like, this was definitely my favorite version of Supergirl, and that goes a long way because in the comic books, I love Supergirl. But when it comes to film and TV and all of that stuff, I've always felt that Supergirl hasn't quite been given like the right portrayal. And in this film, she's given the right portrayal, in my opinion. But the film itself is lacking a bit. So it's a bit disappointing that, they have like such a great Supergirl. They have such a great interpretation of her, especially one that feels like the Supergirl that, I love from the comic books, but part of the story itself, and I think the editing, I think that kind of took away from a lot of the great aspects that they kind of had at their disposal there. So I'm looking forward to what they do in the future. Like, I'll definitely go watch her again in a future Supergirl film, but I'm hoping that they kind of correct some of the mistakes that they made with this one.
Nice. And what did you say you said your rating was joint?
Yes.
I know for a fact that I rate things overly generously. Like, getting a movie to a 3.5 is like really hard for me because I start hating the movie at that point. So this one is like a B+ for me, but if I rate it more fairly, it'd be a B-. So for me, it's an edibly mushroom. Honestly, it's probably just an edibly joint or just an edible. But I, like you, I enjoyed the portrayal. I do enjoy Melissa Benoist, or however you pronounce her last name, for Supergirl, but I do recognize that is just a gender flipped Clark with a way too sexy Jimmy Olsen around. And it's a CW show. So I think they did a good job with what they were given, but not really a true Supergirl from the comics. Yeah, I'll get into the other parts. I guess it might be important to also note that I was much higher on Wonder Woman 1984 than a lot of people were. The one big issue with that film, with Steve Trevor's consciousness taking over a whole other person's body, nope. I agree with everyone there. I just siloed it and I was like, what if that didn't exist? How did the rest of the film feel? Where I think a lot of people were like, this whole thing fucking sucks under that shadow. So I don't want to say people were wrong about it, but to give them a little context. We're going to crack into spoilers, and to commemorate that, I'm going to crack open Lobo's favorite drink, which is a Guinness. Just had that close by. Could make the joke. I'm going to let the upside down bubbling sound finish until we actually do that, so that editing for audio can work. This is almost working how I'm vamping, but it's not. Quite. Speaking of Lobo, I wanted to make it. All right, we're in spoilers. Spoilers. I wanted him to be just a little more crazy. If anyone's seen Chris Pine in Joe Carnahan's Smokin' Aces, that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted 75% of his performance to be, I'm so proud of you. Just make him a little kookier. But I did really, really appreciate you all have been super unhelpful. Happy birthday. But yeah, what did y'all think of and I'll get into all the critiques, spoilery critiques, but what'd you think in the spoiler end of things?
So the one thing I do know about this comic book is that Lobo is not in this comic book.
Yep.
And like this comic book, he probably shouldn't have even been in this movie. There's absolutely no reason for him to be there. You could have taken him out of every scene and it would have been 100% fine. So not only that, but I also felt like his makeup was missing something, like his character's visuals were missing something. I don't know if they just forgot to CGI his face or something, or forgot to smooth out the makeup on his face. It looked weird. It looked like the movie was in 2026, but Lobo was stuck in the 80s in the sense of the way he visually looked on screen.
I think I saw Lobo kind of like the interdimensional imp in Superman 1, Did we need that? Absolutely not. Did it make me feel like the universe was more alive and brought a little bit of an interesting flavor? Yes, it did. But yeah, you could excise him completely and no one would notice. But I'm glad he's here, even though going to use this segue into his character introduces the weirdest editing wonkiness. And I think this is the only one that I could understand for ratings reasons. Because when he beheads his target, it is the you can't tell that he's beheaded the target at all. You see the guy full body like get to his knees. Lobo's head, and this is in the span of like a second and a half. Lobo's hand is on his head. Then it does like 3 other edits, and then you see Lobo's hand in a bag. He's like, travel size, so much easier. And it's like, what the fuck? What happened? Oh, did he? Like, they didn't even do a far away shot like they did with Krem killing the daughter and the parents, or the daughter. Like, I don't know. I would have loved a wide shot where he's just like this and it looks like maybe it's a tennis ball for the rating sport. But that was a brave choice for them to be like, all right, boys, we're going for a PG-13 film. Let's try to do a bloodless beheading. And I wish they could have gotten away with it. Clearly they did not. But yeah, Mom, what'd you think of Lobo?
I mean, he was enjoyable. I agree with what y'all said. He wasn't necessary, but Jason Momoa does an incredible job at playing those types of characters. So it's just really fun to watch him, kind of work in those type of roles.
I would have loved more of his Dante from Fast X. Like, maybe not flamboyant Joker, which is how I described him, but he's crazier in that film than he is as Lobo in this one. Did you both see Fast X? All right, well, there's a scene that was going to be a DVD extra, but the director found it so funny that he put it in the whole film, which is him just vamping to 2 dead bodies with tape holding their eyes open. And he's just like doing a whole like kitschy banter with 2 guys who are just... And if he could take that craziness and just crank it up a bit for a Lobo, I want a Lobo movie that's R-rated with either the director of Smokin' Aces or the director of Bottoms, because Bottoms is also insane, but a very different vibe. Anyway.
So we've discussed a little bit about the editing choices.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've all kind of mentioned at least a little bit something. For me, like I think the biggest thing, and one of the reasons why I dislike the beginning of this movie, and I feel like this movie's made for streaming to get people's attentions and try and keep them there right away, is if I think it would have been made a lot more sense to flip the first 2 scenes. Have, and I forgot what her name is. I apologize. The lady that has her whole family murdered.
Oh, Ruthie's parents and brother.
Yeah, have that scene take place up to the point where, they leave that scene and then bring in Millie and Supergirl. Have the introducing her there, because I think it makes less sense to get Millie first, then come back to the scene, have that scene happen, come back to Millie and have her meet her at the bar, where I think it would have made more sense to have the killing scene, Millie go to the bar and then meet at the bar. I
get exactly what you're saying. And because I've seen films structured like that before, I actually liked this order. I liked the montage. Apparently they did have another intro that wasn't either of those 2 options, but I actually did kind of prefer the starting small with like the Crypto one. I love the opening shot, Crypto peeing on Superman, but it's not like a disrespectful thing. It's just like I'm trying to house trade you, and I'm a really bad dog owner, which we established in the last film. Good job. And I genuinely don't think it was any like screw Superman, like disrespect. Just we are making someone very different. They're not worried about little things. But I liked the montage before we got into the bar. That was just me, but I can see the argument for the other way around, because it is the more popular choice for other films. Like, start with the seriousness. I do think it's a good opening to talk about the comic book a little bit, because one of the reviews I watched reminded me that in the comic book, the whole family doesn't die. That's not what happened. And it wasn't because of some surprise where the villain thought they were going to get ambushed or something. One, I think the editing in that scene is really bad. That was the first one. But apparently, Krem just kills the dad because he didn't laugh at a joke. Left the whole family alive, including multiple brothers. And everyone but Ruthie was like, we can't get revenge. You're going to go get revenge? Okay, good luck. Bye. Like, that would have been so interesting if they went that route and it wasn't a Kill Bill kind of thing, if that makes sense. Like, if Ruthie actually had the possibility of a life.
Yeah, I mean, just for me, I think it would make more sense if for the way to bring her in first and show that sequence first before showing Millie. But I know, like, you want to try and grab people's attention, so you're going to put Millie first, get everybody's attention, bring in a little bit of the Superman stuff, which I think, again, much like Lobo, I think is unnecessary. They either need to dial that up more or dial it back.
Dial what up more?
The Superman stuff, because at the end there was no real tension. It didn't really feel like the ending was deserved, in a sense, like for her to go back to Metropolis and go back to Superman and be like, oh, I'm sorry for disappearing for my 23rd birthday, blah blah, whatever. There didn't feel like there was any tension there. Like, the biggest tension was just her not really watching his voicemails, and then the one call she's like doing everything else while he's trying to like have like a somewhat conversation with him with her. And then just like that was it until the end. So it didn't feel like there was any tension with her, between her and Superman to like warrant like a feel good moment at the end kind of thing. For me, at least. I don't know how you guys think about that.
No, I get it. It's tough because I get exactly where you're coming from. And then to achieve the tension necessary, we kind of have to what's the term I'm looking for? We basically have to betray who Superman is. We have to have him be kind of a dick.
Yeah, she could have just kind of been a dick to him. Like, I mean, for me, like what I would want to see out of this movie here.
Okay.
Yeah, all she'd have to do is just kind of start being like a dick to him, or like have another interaction. Have her be a dick there. Have another interaction before she starts kind of turning, before she puts on the suit and goes to the purple moon, purple sun place. Like, have another conversation with purple sun. Have her be like a dick to him too. Like, have him be like, oh, you're at this location. Why don't I come help you? Like, and just have her just basically tell him to fuck off. And then that way you at least have a little bit more tension building between the two. So that way when she does come back, and she can just like, not necessarily apologize, but just kind of like, like give it the head nod, like, yeah, my bad on that one.
Gotcha. So instead of like, sorry.
No, I see where you're coming from. I guess I looked at it differently, because I was viewing, granted they're cousins, but I was viewing their relationship, especially at that point, more like siblings. So like, that's the lens that I viewed it through, which is, I think, related really well to the whole familial ties and the whole revenge plot that we have her trying to navigate, with the young girl and everything like that. So, I mean, I didn't feel like there needed to be any tension in that situation. I've had multiple periods when I was in college, especially, where I disappeared. I was doing my own thing. My brother would reach out and just be like, hey, I'm here. I'm your brother. I love you. And I would just ignore him, not because I was, trying to be, a jackass or anything, but just because I was a young woman living my life, too busy to talk to my family because I had more important things in my head kind of going on. But once I came back to Texas, my brother was just excited to see me, and there wasn't any tension there. And it wasn't needed to be there for us to have that like reuniting moment that felt good or whatever. So that's how I viewed that, as just Superman being that constant family presence at home. That's just like, hey, I'm here when you're ready to come back here. Once you're done doing your thing, living your life, like, I'm always here. And then once she came back, it was just like, hey, it's wonderful that now you see that I'm always here. So that's how I viewed it. Not a situation that needed a negative type of tension to exist in order to have that feel good moment at the end.
Yeah, it is. It is tough because it's not like a Peter Quill situation, since this is kind of a Guardians of the Galaxy thing where she's avoiding Earth for some reason. She's just going somewhere where she can get drunk. She can't do that on Earth. And I do get your point, Brad. It would add more tension if there could be more conflict, but it is more realistic to go the Milan route. So it's like, if she, even if it was just, instead of, that's the thing, Clark, I don't have a people. It's like, if it changed from that to, what are you talking about? Find a people. They're gone. you didn't have to lose that. You didn't have to experience that. I did. Then I could see that having the extra bite while not betraying the truth of your situation with your brother Milan. Yeah, because it was kind of it never struck me as disingenuous, but in terms of a film where you're trying to build some kind of tension to earn that end, I could see how it could have a little bit more bite, even if that breaks the reality of a lot of people's experience, I guess. But yeah, she did. I also agree. She didn't have to go like, bro, fuck off. Like she didn't have to go that hard. It could have just been spiced up a little bit in terms of that interaction. Before I forget, someone pointed this out on threads that I saw yesterday, and it blew me away even after the 5 viewings. He said because they confirmed that Clark was supposed to be a bad guy on Earth. He was supposed to take over the whole Earth. That Clark's uncle and aunt sending Kara there was kind of like Kara, and I think they could have made this a little bit more specific. Kara, you're kind of going to an Earth where you might have to fight your cousin to save people and be a good person. And because, in their mind, he's been on Earth for 30 years or 28 to 30 years. I can't get the timeline in my head straight. And he's probably ruled the whole world. But this is the place where we know you'll be safe relatively in the universe. So you might have to fight him. And then later his comment on, I know it's colorful, but that means that people are good. Him opening up her pod and having the big colorful suit on might have actually done his goal to help her realize, oh no, he's not going to kill me or whatever. I don't have to fight him. He's a good guy. That's nice. Oh, and look, I'm within spitting distance of his Fortress of Solitude. But that moment was also perfect for me of, hi, what's going on? I don't understand anything you're saying. Oh, but, Kansas. Why am I talking out louder? Why would you know Kansas? That whole thing was also perfect. And did somebody say they wanted more Superman in this film? Because I love the little bit that we had. And it felt very natural for a growing universe. Something we wouldn't see early MCU besides a post-credit scene or something.
No, I mean, I think we got the right amount of Superman in this movie. I think any more would have taken over what we wanted or what we needed to build here to get her and Superman together. I think if you would have put too much Superman in this movie, it would have ruined it off rip. I mean, it would have been like having a Batman and Robin movie and then you focusing 60% on Robin, but then you want to still get 40% on Batman. Just no, make a Robin movie, have Batman show up. So it's the same thing. You want to build up Supergirl as this character and then bring her into that world and not so much have Superman pull that away.
Fair enough. And I feel really bad for spoiling this for you, Brad, because I would actually recommend you watch watch
the comic book. Yeah, I'll watch it.
Thank you. Because I almost said watch the trailer. Read the comic book. The one difference they did, which I actually really love, and I'll explain why, is in the original comic book, everyone knows they killed Krem. The whole universe knows. But the truth is, they put him in the Phantom Zone for 300 years, let him out, and he had actually reflected and realized how much of a horrible person he was, and he apologized to old Ruth. She bonked him on the head. They walked away. He got to live off his last, 20, 30 years as a good man instead of a horrible person. But in this one, they had Supergirl kill him instead of Ruthie. I like that for a few reasons. One, obviously, we can't go 300 years in advance and be Supergirl's got some gray hairs in now and do that whole ending. Plus all future films, it'd be what's going to happen to Supergirl? Oh, no, she'll be fine. We saw 300 years in the future. She's fine. But also because it still saves Ruthie from having that burden. And it introduces what I think is a really interesting dynamic of we've got Superman as the goody two-shoe. We've got Lex Luthor as the egomaniac. And then we've got the third prong, which is Supergirl, who's a super person, but she has that darkness to her where even before this movie, I think she's killed. That's the part I wish they had nailed a little more, on the Green Planet. If she was Ruthie, I don't want you to be like me because I've killed something like that. I would kind of be fascinated if in Man of Tomorrow, Supergirl's like, let's just kill Lex. Look at him. I've killed people who aren't as horrible as him, people who don't kill as many people as him. Let's just kill him. And then Superman's like, well, we're Boy Scouts. But yeah, that's one change I enjoy. But is that a change you would have preferred to avoid, Milan?
I mean, I didn't mind that one so much because, like you said, it stayed true to the goal, which was not sullying the soul or whatever of Ruth and everything like that. So it maintained that. And that the other part that I appreciate you hit right on the head too, when it came to her kind of representing that duality, that other side, being able to, she's kind of like the grittier version of Superman. And I agree. I totally believe that she killed before, but I appreciate that they didn't mention any of that like outright and they saved it for that moment. Because throughout, as she's kind of hinting at stuff, you're like, she's definitely done it before. Like she's a maniac. But the fact that they held off until the very last moment for her to actually very clearly do it, I think was very impactful because it kind of showed that it showed her intention. It showed that she's not somebody to just kind of do it blindly, which I think was important because that really sets her up as still being a good guy alongside Superman, who's just willing to kind of take some slightly darker steps to get a job done. Whereas he obviously, like you said, he's more of a Boy Scout. So I appreciated that change.
I will say the final plan was supposedly, I've forgotten because I really do need to reread the comic. It's supposed to have dinosaurs and like trees and everything. I wish we had some dinosaurs on that green planet. Like that would have been it would have been exorbitantly expensive and would have demanded at least 15 more minutes of this film. But that just would have been cool. Instead of a gray landscape of sand. If we're going to go with the landscape of sand, let's do the Mad Max Fury Road and make it either like a vibrant yellow or vibrant purple or vibrant, just anything. And I think that would have solved most people's complaints about the setting there. But yeah. Did you all stay through the trailers looking for a mid-credit scene?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't miss anything, Milan, except for a cool logo.
I had to Google it and I was like, oh, no. So then I didn't trust Google AI, which is smart. So then I was like looking through different things and I found a couple different places like no post or mid-credit scene. I was like, all right, I'm good to go. Speaking of Supergirl, just kind of bringing it back to the last point though, like I wish she would have stayed more anti-hero because I think towards the end she kind of has that redemption arc a little bit, but I wish she would have stayed more anti-hero, which I think would have made a better contrast to Superman if she would have stayed more. Like if her final arc would have ended probably with if she would have had like the last like 45 minutes like as more of an anti-hero and having that comparison with Superman, because towards the end of this movie I felt like she had more of like a redemption arc of like, she was kind of like I'm here on this red planet because it takes away my powers and I can get super drunk and then be okay by the next morning to like she almost redeems herself towards the end. Like I wish she would stay a little bit more of the anti-hero.
So what would she have had to do in that last 45 minutes to be an anti-hero to you? Because I'm thinking about Deadpool specifically, and also considering the parallels to the third act, the 5 moments. It's just 3 to 5 moments for a good man. And he shoots Ajax. He's like, "You were talking. I'll get the next 4 moments." So, what little tweak could have happened that would keep an anti-hero status for Supergirl for you?
She probably could have. I don't know.
Or what made her not an anti-hero? Like, what was the moment that changed?
It felt like towards the end of it, especially when she kind of like took that kill away from what's her name, instead of like, I'll kill him, but I'll just do it right here in front of you kind of thing. Or like, I'll use your weapon instead of like tossing him overboard and stuff like that. So I think she could have like been a little bit more like ruthless in her face about like killing it. Like, I took this kill away from you, but now you can see that he's dead. It just felt like it felt like she started coming like more full circle towards the end of, it felt more like, she was becoming more Superman, more goody two shoes towards the end versus like, I wish she would just kind of stayed a little bit more, not necessarily ruthless, but like sarcastic and like that kind of way.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you wanted her to do that in front of her, she couldn't be ruthless because then Ruthie would have to go away.
Oh,
So I can understand where you're coming from on that point. And I think if we're just talking about like not looking at Supergirl and her history and everything like that, just like as a character, that does make sense if she's meant to be kind of like that counterbalance for Superman. But I think the way they set it up makes it most true to what her character is like in the comic books. And that's the only reason why I wouldn't want them to make her lean even more towards that anti-hero, because I don't think that her character fully was in that way, again, comic book wise. But if we're looking at it just character development and maybe separating it from that, then that makes a lot more sense. Like having her be a little bit more rough around the edges and a little bit more ruthless when it comes to that, to have that counterbalance with Superman.
Yeah, and I think it'd be really cool. I mean, how it's more interesting to me to have an anti-hero female character, because we just don't have that many in superhero movies. Most of the time, they always make the female characters either like the really goody two shoes or like the bad evil. They're not like, they don't float in between that much. The only one I could think of maybe would be Wanda, like might flirt that line a little bit of anti-hero, but like I think that'd be more interesting for me than having more of a goody two shoes female character or a bad female character, to have her rough around the edges.
I can see that. Like I can see that from the male perspective. I think it's just the right amount for me, especially when you're thinking about it from like her being a character of empowerment for like young girls. I think it's just the right balance. But I can definitely see from the other perspective for entertainment value how that change would be a better change for her character.
So the empowerment thing, like she's probably not a character I would lean on for like empowerment stuff, especially with the front half of this movie with her being like drinking and all that kind of stuff. Like I probably wouldn't put her in line for like female empowerment, like, in my eyes. But
that's just where she's starting from, though. Like the whole point is looking at her as a whole, and that's where it comes through, because you're looking at her trials, her tribulations, or her coming out the other end, and what she ends up being at the end from all of that. Like that's where it all comes from. So like I'm looking at the whole picture of it and not just this small part of her journey.
And also, I kind of love that there's so many rough edges, because even didn't mean to make this parallel, but thinking about James Bond, she does so many things that James Bond does. The one thing she does that James Bond doesn't is use the toilet on camera. But like, I kind of love it. Like she's allowed to be a mess. She's allowed to be just fucking lost and not perfect. And then at the end, when she's figuring stuff out, she's still allowed to kill, which I think is just huge. Like I saw someone's point where they said maybe she should have said, yeah, I'm not going to kill you either, but he will. And their solution was have Lobo be hunting the guy that Ruthie's hunting. And I agree with that for cleanness and like the Batman Begins. I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you. Whoosh, I'm still Batman. Like it's kind of clean, because the other guy that he beheads, it did feel like, why do we have two people that are being hunted? That's kind of too much. But if it's to the point where it's just like, yeah, a girl can kill. It's fine. You're fine. It's okay. Like a female character can do all these things and we can be all good. Then I'm down for the purpose of that. The quick three things I wanted to hit on really fast are: one, I love that they get popcorn and Slurpees or icy, like especially that little thing. It's this tastes like shit. And also the scene where she says this tastes like shit. It took a few screenings for me, and I'm sure some people who are content creators who would make a point to complain about this saw it first time. But it took a few times during the interrogation where I was like, oh shit, there's 5 women here, no men. It just feels like a fucking scene. Who cares? Like, it's possible, boys. We get like just a much larger cast of female characters in the movie didn't take me out at all. Never even noticed it. But I do have to, and slightly undercutting that point, I do have to shout out possibly the best character, but definitively the best line in the film, which is Seth Rogen's little tiny guy who, when Supergirl asks,
like the bus driver's assistant.
Yeah, when Supergirl was like, can you get closer to that yellow sun? He's like, sure, if I had an engine or balls, but I have neither, so no. Like, I think at my 4th screening, it was me and 2 other guys giggling for a full minute, because that is such a great. I'll never stop loving it. And even though I know she's not going to die, the moment where she's trying to put on the spacesuit and then the tech lady gets her right before, I was like, oh shit. Because that was a solid moment of her getting ejected. Oh, God. The problem is that this movie for me has such highs, but some of the lows are just so bafflingly weird. And there's not many, but it's just the editing stuff we've talked about where I'm like, okay, yeah, we did that. That was a weird little bit of kryptonite in this movie. Like before we started recording and before you joined us, Milan, I told Brad, there are a couple moments in here that are just Molly, where it's like, yeah, this is a good movie, but that specific choice was pretty bad. So yeah, no, for me, this is better than Iron Man 2 because the enjoyment is more evenly spread about. But to previous points made, it does feel like they had a longer movie that mostly worked. So let's trim it down to just make it quick, clean. We're in, we're out. We did the thing. But if it's 2 hours and 20 minutes, this whole thing is everyone by the end is just going to be like, get me the fuck out of here, because it's kind of collapsing. So either they get a new director who knocks it out of the park, or the guy who did Lars and the Real Girl gets a second at bat and hopefully does better. Because, man, some scenes I just wanted to see 3 people in one shot talk for more than 10 seconds. And that would have felt better because we would have felt the chemistry. I do want to say I really did love. Oh, and another moment is when it's the in any other movie, I think it would be the father who's like, no, we need to poison her, and the mother saying stop, drink. Well, we flipped it because women can poison people too. And also, that
was the whole point. Yeah.
Yeah. While everyone in that scene knew that she was going to get poisoned, because I think they did a really good job with the sound mixing and the editing and all the little things. I did really like the stop drinking, stop drinking. Oh, and last thing. Her last line in whatever other language was Lou, see Lou. So Lucy Lou. I always forgot to put that in the 420 review. Is just a word in another language. Lucy Lou from Kill Bill lives on. Oh, any other wrapping up thoughts before we fly out of this one? This has been our longest review for a while.
I think the only other really quick note, as far as like the differences from the comic book, that I wasn't upset about necessarily, but I think long term it would have been nice if they had stuck a little bit more closely to the comic, is just like the beginning, like the whole situation with Krypton and like what happened and how like Supergirl actually got to Earth and everything like that, because she should be like crazy super powered from the extended period of time that she was out there, that caused her to not get to Earth, at the same time as Clark. But they kind of completely erased that by kind of telling the story the way that they did. So it's like, oh, that's disappointing, because now they're probably not going to take that lead and that part of like the storyline that they could have. But it also made a lot of sense for how they were doing it for a film. But, it can go either way. So
I do actually appreciate for the 300 year time skip at the end of the comic and the chronology of their ages that they just left the Phantom Zone out, because that feels like too many things to introduce. Like, oh, there's this Phantom Zone, and we sent this guy Zod there once, and I ended up there, and blah 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 blah. But so I think that was a clean choice. But I don't know what you're actually talking about. Like, what is the super powered extra? But like, what are you talking about in the comic book that they left out?
It's like tying on to what you're talking about, like during that period, and I could be wrong, and I'd have to go back and check. But when she was waiting or whatever, like she was in orbit, when she was in orbit around one of the suns, whichever sun it was essentially like keeping her in stasis, but it was also like supercharging her.
Oh, okay. So I only know the CW origin, which is that her pod ended up in the Phantom Zone while his flew fine through space, and then she got lost for like 10, 15 years, and she's technically older. So what's the comic book origin that you're talking about?
So it's essentially like, oh man, am I echoing?
No, not for us.
Okay, as long as it's not echoing for y'all. But like it's essentially like that same thing, except during that time period, that 15, 20, 30 years or whatever that she's stuck out there, she's orbiting a planet or something, or she's stuck in the orbit of something with a colored moon, and whatever that colored moon is, that is what's causing her to stay within her hibernation, but it's also kind of like charging her. So like by all accounts, she's potentially much stronger than even Superman is.
Gotcha.
But by taking that out of the films and out of the TV shows, it kind of either puts her on the same like playing field as Superman or potentially weaker than him. Mm-hmm.
Okay. One thing I want to ask and I'll say specifically about the Krypton flashbacks. Were there any weak links in the acting for y'all, or did it pretty much work for you?
Yeah, but I'm biased.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. There's nothing that jumps out.
All right. I just had with David Krumholtz acting, and he's been in Oppenheimer, he's been in Serenity, he's been in a lot of stuff where I've never been like, that's weird acting. His felt like it was a little like he cranked the kitsch to 11. Like he's like, I've got to get you. And like his worried face, one that where he's holding his wife and they're like looking at Argo City leave, and she's like, or no, I think she's pregnant on Argo City, and she's like, I wonder if we're doing the wrong thing. And he was like, no, we're doing the right thing. I don't know. It's kind of like Mila Kunis's acting in Wake Up Dead Man, where I'm just like, I feel like you're just 1 degree doing a little bit more than everybody else. And that's not the vibe right now. But I wanted to see if I was the only one, and I seem to be.
No, I mean, I actually caught that, but I thought that was intentional. And I thought that it gave the next layer to like the calm that the rest of the citizens seem to have.
Sorry, it cut out for me. What did you say?
I don't know.
I heard it was intentional, and
I assumed that it was intentional because it was showing like the difference between how calm and how in control the rest of the citizens thought they were, how in control they thought his brother was with controlling like what their decisions were. And then him being the one who actually understood what was happening and being like, no, we should all be freaking out. I'm freaking out. Things are about to go bad. So he was showing that like how everyone should be reacting, but how they actually were reacting.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind the next time I watch it, because it felt, I think what's hitting me is it felt like freaking out plus Skyliner. Like I'm freaking out, but I'm freaking out a little extra than everybody else because I'm kind of, I don't know. But cool. I think I am in the minority in that, because I watched Kind of Funny's interview about this, and that was the one part they were fucking glazing to the end of the earth. They're like, and then we're on Krypton, and that shit was great. And the other stuff was like, man, they did the last planet, and they didn't do the dinosaurs, and they did the Krem kill, but they made it worse, and blah blah, and all. And fair enough. I don't think that group of people is the grifters who are just like, wah, man, wah. Like, I believe that they are saying their critiques in good faith, even though I fully disagree with most of what they said. But yeah, it seems like most people loved the Krypton stuff. And I was like, during my one of my viewings, I really needed to use the restroom. I was like, okay, I'm going to wait for the Krypton thing, because David Krumholtz's acting is I don't care. But cool. Anything before we go jet off to a red sun?
I've got 2 things. Neither will require like a lot of discussion. I saw that somebody pointed out that Superman's story is a story of immigration, where Supergirl's story is the story of a refugee. Because obviously he comes as a baby and immigrates in the United States, where she comes from a broken planet that gets broken off into a subsection that also dies, and she has to go to Earth to be saved from that. And then the last thing was, this whole movie could have been done with in the first 20 minutes if she would have just taken her dog on a shuttle and went to a yellow sun planet. This movie would have been done in 20 minutes.
Well, I was told that they were different, that they're different poisons. Yeah, one's a poison, one's the kryptonite. So fine. That's
one thing I did forget to mention. I did like sorry to spoil another thing, but in the comic, Krypton was fine the whole time. And Supergirl made up that lie so she could go with Ruthie and help her, or have an excuse to be there without Ruthie thinking that she's being chaperoned the whole time. But in this one, having the kind of like John Wick light of like my dog's on the line. I liked that. I did see or did think about Just Fly to a Yellow Sun, but I'm satisfied that they were like, if you fly, he'll die a lot quicker. Maybe they should have been like, you fly, he's dead in 10 minutes because this poison reacts to, I don't know, the vacuum of space. Who knows? Just a little line in.
So this Mad Max movie needed a little bit of John Wick in there too?
No, it already had it. It literally did. It had my puppy that I got while mourning the woman who is most important to me. You fucking with that puppy? I'm gonna kill your ass.
I'm gonna go rescue all the brides for this male only civilization.
Yes, yeah. That Mad Max connection was pointed out to me through some reviews. But cool. Wow.
Ranking.
Oh shoot! I stopped recording right before you said that, but I'll have a little clip from one of the backups. Editing Brian, good luck. Yes, we had rankings, so I'm actually gonna edit that part we just didn't put at the end, so no one leaves. What was the last one that we just did? It was Office Romance. Is this pleasant but messily edited film better than Office Romance? You got to choose between some sloppy editing and a cotton condom.
I liked it more. I liked Supergirl.
Brad, what did you think?
I mean, realistically, I'm probably not going to really watch either one of them. This one's at least a superhero movie. I'll probably just lean this one. I mean, realistically, we'll just wait for the second movie, and if I was going to rewatch one, I'd probably watch whatever the next movie is.
That's fair. I'm agreeing with y'all. I don't think there's going to be a day where I'm like really in the mood for Office Romance. I would fill that with Shrinking, Ted Lasso, some other type of Brett Goldstein verse movie if I'm looking for that. And this one I definitely will be revisiting when Man of Tomorrow is about to come out. I rewatched Superman before this. I've said, let me see if there was anything else I didn't say in terms of the critiques I had. Wish they'd showed. In the bar when Ruthie was like, "What are you talking about? Discreet? You broke that guy's arm." I don't know if it was the shot choice or whatever, but I didn't believe the car was having a frail mental state because of crypto. So, and then that.
We also didn't need Lobo's Wikipedia article read to us at the bar when she was like, "Oh, who's that guy? Oh, that's Lobo. He's a demigod of sorts," and blah blah blah, and like, here's his stat sheet from the last 3 battles he was in.
I like that for a couple of reasons. One, it was quick and easy. He killed his whole planet, and he's an egomaniac. Shut up. And then, honestly, when Kara comes in, she's like, "Oh my god! Like, we're just a couple little girls." Like that felt obviously heightened, but very realistic in terms of how the fuck are we going to get out of this situation? Are we going to punch and kick? No, we're gonna play it right, and he's gonna fuck off without feeling like we said fuck off. Because if we said fuck off, he'd kill us both. He was about to kill Ruthie for the vibes being off.
Is this movie better than?
I'm going to rewatch this before Man of Tomorrow.
What about our all-time rankings? Is this better than Godzilla -0?
Easily. This wipes the floor with Project Hail Mary. Godzilla -1.
Yeah, Godzilla -1 definitely gonna stay on the top there.
Yeah,
9-12.
Yeah, no. I don't know if it'll be unseated unless Milan watches Project Hail Mary and feels strongly about that movie. But yeah, cool. And key the part we did before this. Oh, editing Brian, were you looking for this? The second best line. Yeah, this movie may be a jointy skunky, or did you say skunky joint, Brad?
Skunky jointy.
Skunky jointy. Skunky joint, a joint, or a wildly inflated edibly mushroom. But no matter what, this movie is dope because movies are dope. Bye-bye now. We'll get it.
I'm living in a movie, there's a scene you gotta jump. I got my people at the viewing who all knew me selling tickets. Yeah, they talking about the beauty. I see Scorsese outside saying this isn't cinema. Free man, I I ain't doing shit tomorrow, I don't need plans. I'll be kicking it till April off of $3 grand. I don't even need the money, I just need fans. I just need fans.